Hey guys, so welcome back, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I shared recently, a writing that I shared recently on the Patreon page. You can't really write on YouTube, so if you'd like to see that, you could head over to the my Patreon page, the Mahapatha Yoga Patreon page, and check that out. If you are watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. That really does help me continue doing this. And if you are interested in helping support me, even with just $1 a month, you can check out the Patreon page, and there's a few extra perks that you get when you're a patron versus just YouTube. So today I want to talk about being being hollow or empty like a bamboo. So this is a traditional teaching from the East, and I'm not sure exactly which tradition it comes from or started with, but it's just the idea that if we are allow ourselves to empty ourselves of our ego attachments, our desires, our resistance to what is, our ideas about right and wrong, and insisting that things be a certain way, then we can allow the divine to take over in our life and to move us and to inspire us. And in my experience, this is the most beautiful, fulfilling thing we can experience as a human being. There's nothing higher. It doesn't matter what action. In fact, it's not about a particular one experience or a particular action, or, like we might think that we really like to eat certain foods, or we really like sex, or we like to go climbing, and we might feel like these are peak experiences. And indeed, they might be peak experiences, but when the divine, when we're empty and we allow the divine to move us, we can experience many experiences, and they are so filling and rewarding that it really is beyond words. So the idea of the teaching is that in the East, traditionally, they would make flutes out of bamboo. So the bamboo is hollow inside, and then they make a few holes in the bamboo, and then they can play music with it. And the idea here is that the divine can play us like a flute, like a bamboo flute, when we have emptied ourselves out of our ego attachments and our ego desires. And that's exactly what we ultimately want. This is what really fulfills us as human beings. And from the outside, you may not know someone is being played like a flute. So perhaps a famous musician is someone who has really let go of their ego attachments and surrendered to music, at least in one part of their life. And they have to cultivate discipline and practice, and by doing that, they sort of empty themselves out over time. They become more and more empty, less and less attached to, I want this, I want that. And then they make absolutely amazing music, and it fills them up. The divine can move in. All that practice has cleared them out. And now the divine can use their body and use their mind and use their heart to communicate through music. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. But this can be anything. It doesn't have to be a great musician. Someone who is a mother or a housewife or a surgeon or anything really. We can do any activity and empty ourselves out and allow the divine to, again, move us and to play us like a hollow bamboo. So, like most things in my teaching, this is a practice. This is something we can do throughout our day at any time. It's something that we can reflect on and think about. And the way this shows up in my own life is letting go of my own agenda or resistance to any given situation. The resistance is the part of me that is not yet hollowed out. It's something where I'm creating density in my heart or mind, which will show up in my body sooner or later. We can feel inside our body whether we are relaxed and surrendered or if we're still resisting. And that's why I like to say the body doesn't lie. So this is important for us because this is why in yoga we place so much emphasis on the body. And many people think that seated meditation is some kind of cerebral practice. I think it might start that way, but my own experience is it becomes more and more really just about the body, so becoming aware of what's going on inside of our body. So any given situation in your life is simply the universe, source, the divine, higher nature. I don't really care what name you use for it. Krishna, Buddha nature, Yahweh, whatever, Allah. It's just the divine playing music. This whole universe is the divine playing music. And so it's just constantly going on. It's everywhere. And we are a part of that music. We are you could say, an instrument in the symphony or orchestra that is playing this music. So the more that my ego, and we'll call him Douglas, the more my ego shows up, then the less hollow I am, the less the divine is able to use me for its plans, its purpose, what it would like to manifest in the world. And you can think of this if I just, again, imagine I'm a member of a band or an orchestra and everyone's playing in one key and then I just start playing in a different key. Or everyone is playing in harmony and I just decide to start playing my own notes. This creates disharmony. It creates a cacophony. It's like the divine is a conductor and it's trying to conduct everyone and get everyone in harmony. But with human beings, because we have the ego, and I'm not going to get into what the ego is in this talk. I've done that in other talks, and I'll do it again. We'll cover it again. But what can happen with the ego is the ego starts playing its own tune, and it creates a lot of disharmony. And I think if we look around us at the world, we see that. We see how human beings have, they've created amazing things, but human beings have also created a lot of disharmony with the environment, with one another. It's just something that we do. And it's not even human beings, it really is the ego, which is a type of confusion, you might say, that lives within a human being. And so it's not a permanent fixture. It's not something that has to be there. It's not essential. A human being can be free of the ego and can survive and live and actually thrive and be a lot happier without it. But most human beings have an ego and they never get rid of it, and they're not even necessarily really aware of it or how it's impacting their happiness and well-being. So if you understand this teaching, then you understand that none of us can make more beautiful music than divinity, than the divine, than God, than source. That's what made us, and it's very presumptuous to think that we could do any better. We definitely cannot. And so this is the idea behind being a hollow bamboo, being open to allowing the divine to move us. So we can learn to relax, we can step back, let go, and trust the process of life itself. then we can see and hear the most incredible music being played. And we are doing our part. We're definitely taking part. We're a hollow bamboo, and we're being played by the universe. And if we were taken out of it, the music would be less rich and interesting. So, when we resist a situation, then that's like us playing our own melody, our own tune, playing in a different key from what the rest of life is playing in. And again, it creates a kind of dissonance, a kind of disharmony there. And if we can let go and just allow the situation to unfold, doesn't mean we don't play a part once again, but that action or non-action, whichever it might be, comes from a deeper place within us, not from our ego. And if we can learn to do this, we begin to find that life is just this perfect piece of music. It's so rich and beautiful just as it is, and we're in awe of it and our part in it. It really is incredible. Of course, guys, when it's all said and done, can anything happen that is against what we might call God's will? Or could anything happen that isn't a manifestation of life? We human beings might see things as good or bad or right and wrong, but that really is just our perception. And so the highest teaching ultimately is that even the ego, in all its supposed ugliness, in all its resistance, all its suffering and unpleasantness, is also a part or a piece, or you could say a section of this beautiful symphony that is being written by Source, the universe, the divine. So you might say it's a chapter in a book. It is a chapter where there's a lot of tension being built up. And what some teachers say, and which I agree with, I feel as well, is we're moving into a new era. We're moving into a new section in that piece of music where the ego will not play such a large role, and we might move into something much more uplifting and beautiful. One of my favorite composers is Beethoven, and one of the things I love about his symphonies is the way that he will have a piece of music that is so menacing and dark, and then all of a sudden, within a phrase or two, it turns into this uplifting, beautiful, lilting piece of music. I hope you got something from this talk, and if you did, again, if you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. Again, that really does help with the algorithm and helping to spread the word. And if you want to, again, help me out financially, please check out the Patreon page. I also have an Instagram page, and I usually put these talks up there. So if you prefer Instagram, you can check that out as well. And as always, I'd love to hear from you in the comments about your experience of maybe being the hollow bamboo. I think many people experience this perhaps in areas in their life, and sometimes this is professional areas where we learn to really let go of our little small sense of self, and we experience a flow state, and we experience this expansive state of oneness, and we feel like we're performing beyond our personal abilities. And again, the reason that we experience this is because we get the sense that it is the divine that is taking over and performing the action for us. And this is, again, the highest experience that we can have. And the amazing thing is many people experience this in certain areas of their life, but this is actually possible in all areas of our life. We can enter into this flow, what the Taoists might call the Tao, We enter into a relationship with the Tao, and then our whole life becomes this sort of effortless action, and it becomes so fulfilling and so beautiful. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.